And that's what is the most important in our store is we get to be a part of those moments. And we're in those people's memories for the rest of their lives, whether they know that we're the floral fairies or not, we're there.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am absolutely thrilled to introduce you to the vendor I am personally most excited about, my upcoming wedding. As many of you know, I run Designs by Andrea, and my love for flowers has only grown stronger with each bouquet that we receive. After preserving over 5,000 bouquets, it's super surreal that now I get to go through this journey myself as a bride. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to one of the most prestigious florists here in Dallas, Texas, Avant Garden by Todd. Avant Garden is responsible for a lot of celebrity weddings across the United States. So believe me when I say this, working with Avant Garden for my own wedding is a dream that I had no idea I could afford. But trust me, you can too. If you just want a bridal bouquet done, they can help you. Now let me introduce you to the talented Mariah Wills. Mariah serves as the floral and sales director at Avant Garden and is in charge from everything floral, including the daily floral orders to events A to Z out of their warehouse location in the Design District. So without further ado, let's welcome Mariah Wills, a talented and creative force behind the floral magic at Avant Garden.
We're discovering all things wedding, from Will You Marry Me to You May Kiss the Bride. I'm your host, Andrea. Welcome to the Bridal Club. I am super excited to be here. We actually just had my meeting with my wedding florist, Mariah, with Avant Garden, and the meeting was amazing. I cannot wait for you guys to see how it went. But let me introduce you to Mariah.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about Avant Garden, who you are, and your passion behind everything.
Perfect. So Avant Garden has been in business a little bit over 17 years. Our owner and operator, Todd Fiskus, owns our company as well as some other sister companies. Avant Garden started as a brand that would showcase really beautiful, unique blooms, stuff that you wouldn't see anywhere around. We really tried to hone in and showcase the fact that we bring in brands and varietals from around the world that you couldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, every time that I'm around, they're based in Dallas, obviously, because we're in Dallas. But every time that I'm around, I go upstairs because you have the best flowers. I mean, just look at the quality of these flowers. They're so amazing. We're gonna do a B-roll later of upstairs so you can see it. It's just beautiful, and I just love your quality.
You can come into our store at any season and it showcase varietals from that time of year. So in the summer you can see really beautiful dahlias, roses, and then in the spring, of course, we have daffodils and tulips and flowers that just really resonate with the time of year.
I love it. And then tell me a little bit more about you and like what's your background? How did you land here?
Okay, so I have the most interesting background, I think, in our industry. I am from Las Vegas originally. Not many people can say that, but I started in the business under Paige Dawson and Jeffrey Latham. I was formerly trained by them at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas. I did my own business there for a few years, and then my husband decided, hey, we're gonna up and move out of Vegas and we're gonna go to Dallas. So we have 3 children, so it was a great move for us to move here, a better environment, obviously, than Vegas for kids. So we came here and I started contract designing. So I would travel literally all over the world. I'd go to Mexico, we did weddings in Italy, Wyoming, Montana, different things you can think of. Anywhere a destination wedding would be, we'd travel there. And then I landed at Avant Garden probably almost 6 years ago.
Okay.
And never had done retail floral in my life, so it was new. And I like that aspect of this business, that it's taken me on so many different journeys. Event work, daily orders, weddings. It's been new and interesting every step of the way.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, I met you about 5 years ago at one of your workshops,
Yes.
and the workshop was so much fun, which is crazy because that is where I met my wedding planner. So
And we just put that together not too long ago, I think. It's so funny how that's come full circle.
I know,
Yeah, both
I
of
know.
you, and you were sat here at our table and ate and drank and talked many years ago about it. So it's kind of fun how it's come around.
Yeah, I know, it was amazing. I feel so honored to have you guys as my florist, because to be 100% honest, I did not know that I could afford you. I mean, you come in this shop and it's like amazing. It's beautiful, and you feel like a royalty when you're in it. And I just assumed that I could not afford you, So whenever I was going through my favorite florists, in Dallas, and I sent them to Macy, you guys were not one of them.
Yeah.
And I told you
heard
that.
about it, and I said, we're getting in there, and we're going to put a bid, and we're going to let her know that we can do this for her.
And it's so crazy because I told Macy, go ahead and do it. I just know that I can't. Like I won't be able to afford them. And it's so crazy that we think that way as brides. And you just said something that is so important. Just ask, right?
Yeah, if you don't know, ask.
Yeah.
There's always ways of going about it. If you are really interested in a vendor, just reach out to them. A lot of us have basic forms that we can send out and say, okay, this is kind of where we fall. This is our price range. If it works for you, great, and we can modify and go from there. But I think that Avant Garden has always had that stigma of course, we're a luxury brand, but we also want to be accessible to every bride. And there's always a way that we can do that. We don't, we have an overhead, obviously, of the store, but the benefit of that is whatever stems I may or may not use in your bouquet, I can put on the floor fresh and beautiful, of course, and sell it in a daily order.
Which most florists don't do.
Right. Yeah, most event florists will purchase directly just for your event. And of course, we're doing the same, but we also have that luxury of, expending that expense in other areas of our business, which is good.
So, which is something that I had no idea about this. We briefly spoke about this. Like if somebody, elopements are a big thing right now, micro weddings like mine, even though mine is going to be small, it's not going to be that small when it comes to like the florals. But some people really just want to go to a courthouse and get a bouquet. Can you do that for them?
I can do that for them. Anything floral related we can do.
Which is insane because most people don't know that, and that is basically why we're here.
Yeah, and we can do that. Not only can we do that, but I can gear that toward whatever flower you want to see. It's still a special and intimate moment in these brides' lives, whether it's small or large, and we want to be a part of that. So however that looks, we're there for that.
And again, one of our team members here actually just mentioned that she's never experienced like the best quality of florals that you guys have here, and we get thousands of bouquets, as you know, every single year.
I'm sure you see the full scope of floral,
And so for us to say that, I mean, it's a big deal, you know?
Well, we pride ourselves also, what's kind of fallen under our brand is direct buying. We buy direct from our growers all over the world, Holland, New Zealand, Africa, even in the States. In the States, we buy floral too. So wherever the best product is coming, that's where we want to be. We want to showcase what this industry is about, and what better way to do it by buying the best.
I love it. So a couple things. You have sent me a couple of brides, so I've had the honor to preserve their florals, which is so amazing.
Yes, I love
and earlier I brought a couple of pieces for her to see them because I don't believe that you had actually seen like what we do today, which is it's pretty amazing.
It brings it full circle. We are invested in these brides and meeting with them and presenting them with the ideas that we have for the floral, and then we make them and then we install them and give them to them, and then when it comes back and we get to see it full fruition and it's a piece that they get to look at every day, we're a part of these brides' lives essentially forever, and it's such an amazing thing to be a part of.
And thank you for saying that, and I love it too because ultimately, first of all, we're preserving your creations, like you sourced the flowers, you put them together, you did all that work, and now we're preserving what you created, which I think is amazing. We're not only just preserving the flowers, there's a big meaning behind them, whether it is for weddings or memorials or anniversaries, or just flowers that somebody buys for, for themselves, So that, and then also these brides in 10 years or 20 years, as opposed to having, their flowers totally gone, they're going to look at the piece and think of their wedding, number one, number two, the florist, and number three, obviously, the bouquet preservation company they hired.
Yeah, and it's viewable in their home, right?
Yeah.
So we all have the videos of our weddings that we go back and we reflect on maybe every 3 to 5 years, or at some point when your kids go, hey, what did your wedding look like? But this is a piece of artwork that sits in your home all the time, and it's viewable by everybody. It's a conversation starter. I think it's
thank you for saying that again, because I feel like I'm the one who always try to say, like there's only 3 things from your wedding that you're going to see every single day. A few photos, because you're not going to see your entire gallery, your wedding bands, and now your flowers. Yeah, I love it. So one of the reasons why I did not think I could afford you, and you guys were not even an option for me, was because I know you guys work with celebrities. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
We do. So another brand standard for us is obviously discretion. So I'll just name a few. We do have some celebrities that we work with, musicians. I won't go into names, but the Dallas Cowboys, the Jones family. We have a few NBA and NFL players that are not only just regular clients of ours, but are actual event clients as well.
Yeah, so we've worked with some celebrities as well, and I think it's like the wow factor and the fact that, oh my gosh, me, obviously, a celebrity can work with the same vendors as a celebrity because they do, talk to everybody and they cater to everyone as well. So I think that is honestly amazing. And also because a celebrity will have all of these options and they choose to come to you because, once again, the best flowers, you know.
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
they're brides and clients just like the rest of us. And I think that's something important to remember. They want to see the beautiful flowers. They want to have those beautiful memories. They want those preserved pieces in their homes, just like any typical bride.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's talk a little bit more for those booking. Well, actually, before we go on that, do you only serve the DFW, the Dallas Metroplex?
We don't. That's the fun part. We travel all over the world.
Good.
Actually, our owner is in Italy right now working on a wedding, coincidentally. And then just this year, we'll be in Houston, Aspen, and the Hamptons, actually.
Amazing. So the reason why I wanted to ask that question, I already knew the answer, but I wanted to tell you guys this because my audience currently, I told you before, about 15% of them come from Dallas, but 85% come from the rest of the United States. And I'm talking Alaska, New York, a lot of California, you know, and so the fact that you guys can serve everyone, it's just incredible.
Yeah, and I think when you find the person that fits, they fit your aesthetic, they fit the way you want your wedding, your event to go, you stick with that person. There's that comfort level, there's that understanding of your overall view of what you want it to look like, and ask, like I said, just ask. If it's attainable, we'll make it attainable. If it's not, then we can make suggestions for sure of somebody that's in that area. It's a very small industry, and we know a lot of people, honestly, around the world.
Yeah, I love it. And as I said, every time I had the opportunity to come here, I just come here. And even sometimes I'm just looking, I don't buy anything, and you guys treat me so nicely. You know, I'm like, can I just take a picture or videos of your floral bar?
We'll nerd out when you come in.
It
depends on how much time you have. We'll go, this comes from this place, or this comes from this place. Yeah, it's a treat. Come in anytime.
It really is. It really is for the viewer, for the people who come here. It's just an experience because a lot of florists don't have a flower bar, you know, and you, of course, go to, like Trader Joe's, and they have flowers, and they're pretty cool and everything, but you come here and it's an experience.
Yes,
like
it definitely
it's beautiful the way that you have them laid them down and everything. So let's talk about how to book a florist and what do you do when couples contact you? Like, what is the first thing you do?
So the first thing that we want to make sure is to encourage them to have an aesthetic in mind. What flowers they like, what they want the overall feel of their wedding to be, and then of course budget plays a big key in that as well. What is your expectation of what you want to spend, or what key pieces you want in your wedding? So maybe you want a simple arch structure, or you want the full, aisle, the arch, pew markers, the whole 9 yards. We just want kind of hone in on what your expectation is. As far as it comes to creativity, we can take that and run with it. We just like a starting point.
Yeah, which is for us too, right? Like the reason why we have like the design consultations is so the bride can tell us kind of like the design they want, but then everything is really artistic interpretation. My gosh, I can't talk. And it's the fun part of it. I mean, it's the fun part of your job too, that no bouquet is going to be the exact same, regardless if you are using kind of like the same flowers.
Yeah. And that's what you're coming to us for.
Yes.
You're coming to us. We are in this industry. We've done numerous weddings, so we know what works and what doesn't work. We can make gentle suggestions on, hey, I know you love this. It's not available at this time of year. Perhaps we go this route. But that's what we're here for. And when you hire professionals, that's what you lean on them for, is to do what's right for you.
Yeah, and it's crazy because obviously, as I said, I mean, by the way, this week we discovered we have served 5,000 brides or 5,000 customers, so which is insane. And so even though I have my favorite flowers, and of course, like I put a little presentation together for you guys, I did not know if the flowers were gonna look great together because I'm not a florist. Sure. And so coming here with you, I was like, I don't know about greenery. I mean, I want some greenery, but you were the one who said like, this is gonna be good. This is gonna look great. And I was like, yeah, if that's what you suggest, let's just roll with it.
And I think that's the best part of not only working with you, but I love that aspect of brides. There's some that are very set. No, this is what I want. This is how I want it to go. And there's some that, you make a suggestion, whatever you think it is. And that's what makes it the most interesting part of getting to know that bride and what her aesthetic is asking those questions.
Yeah,
so,
I love it. Let's see here. How can somebody set a budget? That is one of the things that I was struggling the most with because ultimately nobody really has pricing on their website. And I understand why. There's just so many different variables.
Right, yeah.
But I love the fact that what you mentioned earlier. What's your starting point?
Yeah. What do you want to see in your wedding? What's the most important aspect of your wedding for you? And I think for you, it's your bouquet. I think would be top if I had to guess. And then after that, the feel of this reception, I think is the most important. And everything funneling into that. So we have basic price ranges, and I think most florists do, where we start off at, your bouquet could be arranged from here at A to Z, your centerpieces can be arranged from A to Z, and that can kind of give you an idea of, do I fall into the lower end, to the higher end, and what you're expecting out of those pieces. So if you want something really simple and it's a candle collection, which is beautiful, simple bud vases of floral, you're probably going to fall on the lower end of that, which is fine. Maybe you want your ceremony floral to be more of the showcase, and we could allocate budget there.
Would you recommend somebody to like bring photos to you or send you photos?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Inspiration helps, and that gives us a starting point on what to suggest for you.
Okay.
Kind of hone in your style.
Awesome. So I often hear people saying like flowers are way too expensive, and I want to showcase and kind of like understand a little bit better of why that is, because for me and in my work, you asked me a question like, how long does this piece took? And I said 18 hours hands-on, just the flower, like just the actual art part, So it's like 30 hours hands-on from like start to finish.
Right.
So I want you to tell me a little bit more about like what you said earlier, like where the flowers are coming from, how you process them, because I don't think that people are understanding that when they hear how much a bouquet will cost, right? They're just thinking like, oh my gosh, I can just go to the store and buy flowers myself.
Right.
So can you tell us more about
Absolutely. So I think my favorite part of this question is not only the hours that it takes you to put this piece together, but the hours of experience it took you to get to the point you are. That's so important. And I think people forget that. And there's always, the companies out there, there's always florists out there, and I'm sure there's other preservation companies out there that will offer at a lower price, but sometimes you get what you pay for. And experience is such a key factor in that, especially when we're on site and we're executing something. We have the experience where everything that could go wrong has, and we've fought our way through it. Another thing is floral. Every single thing that we purchase has been touched from the point of it being grown in the farm, cut, processed, packaged. It's drove to the airport. It's shipped, flown here. Then we go to pick it up. We bring it back to our warehouse. Every single stem is then again touched, cut, processed, put into a bucket, put into our cooler. So all of those fees, the floral, the van, the refrigeration, it's literally touched 10 to 20 times, and then by the artisan itself to put it together.
I love that you told me this story because, and I even got the chills, I'm a weirdo, I'm sorry. But I get so excited talking about this because the flowers are alive. You're talking about something that is alive, and eventually, of course, we'll preserve them for you. But just what you said, like there's a huge life throughout like the farm to the end piece.
Planting
and then,
it to growing it to, it's really an amazing piece of our business.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit more about budgeting. Of course, I asked you like how can people come up with budgets and stuff like that, but what do you recommend if somebody is kind of like on a budget, they only want to spend, I don't know, $6,000 or whatever. What do you recommend if they have a specific look in mind and they bring you some photos, but then maybe a lot of the pieces that they're using is like a peonies, yeah. So what would you recommend then?
There's always substitutions to floral that that you like. So let's say a bride loves peonies. Maybe we do those in her bouquet, but maybe not throughout every piece in her wedding. There's ways of showcasing those pieces where, again, it's a piece that could be preserved or pressed and they can enjoy it forever. But as far as other elements for budgeting, that's, again, what we're here for. If you want a really big impact moment on your ceremony and maybe something limited on your reception, candles do an amazing job too. So we can make those kind of suggestions based on what your overall
and I love it because at the end, you don't have to do the work. You really are coming here like, this is what I think I want, or this is kind of like what I like, and then just really let the expert help you. But then again, like I had a couple of experiences with other vendors where I didn't necessarily feel like special, whereas here is like I feel heard, and I feel like you're not going to judge me if I have a smaller budget than other clients, you know what I mean?
Flowers are, like you said, it's a luxury item. We don't need it in our lives. We certainly don't. But the moments and the memories that come from it, we certainly do. When we deliver floral, whether it's a daily order or whether it's a wedding, you are a part of an intimate moment in somebody's life. Even a daily order, like I said, even the loss of a family or a friend, a member of some sort, that's the thing you lean towards, right? You send flowers for congratulations for a baby, you send flowers for a bereavement. And that's what is the most important in our store is speaking of chills, we get to be a part of those moments.
Yeah.
And we're in those people's memories for the rest of their lives, whether they know that we're the floral fairies or not, we're there.
Yeah, and I love your enthusiasm. Is that how you say it? Probably not. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just said it right. Okay, good. I love how you are so passionate about that and helping people, because the people that you've sent, you know, I've talked to them and they were so happy to work with you, and I think that's really awesome, because again, they're gonna look back at their wedding day, and whenever they think of flowers, they're gonna think of you know, and
We
the
try.
experience.
Yeah, we want
Yeah.
them to. It's an important and privileged piece of our business. And I think that's what I try to remember and try to remind our staff, is that it's a privilege for us to be able to do these for these people. It's a privilege to be a part of their memory.
I love that. I love that so much, and and I feel like you guys strive for excellence. So do we. And it's like the product needs to be obviously the best ever, but then also the experience, the customer experience service that you provide to that customer.
And they'll come back and they'll refer their friends, and the best form of referral is somebody
100%.
saying, I've used you, please come and do your bouquet with them.
Yeah. Ah, I love it. Okay, so what are 3 flowers you would recommend everyone to have in their bouquet? Your opinion, and just tell us a little bit why.
Sure. I think you highlighted on this, it's a inexpensive flower, and it's readily available in a lot of different colors. Spray roses are one. They offer a great amount of texture, dimension, which is fun.
Yeah.
If you're looking more on a budget-friendly palette or like price point, roses are definitely a go-to. But I also think the most important is to go with what's seasonally available.
Yes.
What is important to you? We had a bride whose daughter's name or sister's name was Poppy, the mom was Daisy, or nicknames in their family. So every bouquet we tuned into that flower, and it was just a soft mix of just those florals. So it doesn't always have to be part of your theme or what you think it needs to be. It just needs to be special, and those are the most fun parts to do.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what my favorite flower is?
Yes.
Which
The anemone. Yes.
it's so
yes.
crazy, because I know some people may think that they're just kind of boring. Anemones are well, the ones that I like are white, and then they have a black center. There are definitely a lot other flowers that are just grand and luxurious looking, but for me, the anemones are just simple, elegant, and just, I don't know, I'm obsessed with them. They're on my logo, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, that's how
I don't think
much-
there's anything else that is similar to them either. I think that makes them even more special.
Is it because of the black and white, or?
Yeah, and I think the petal count and how it is, and what's funny is it looks black, but if you look up to them closer, a deep navy blue.
Yes,
And depending on this grower and the time of year,
know.
they can look black too. But
Yeah.
it's one of the very few flowers that comes in that really dark, rich color naturally. So I don't know, it's kind of special in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
You're being too nice to me. You're probably
love
not
it.
your favorite.
No, I love it. I love
And it's so
anemones.
crazy. A lot of our brides actually have learned about anemones because of my obsession about them, you know, and so they have added a lot of those flowers into their bouquets, which I think it's really special.
trending.
I know. I feel like such an influencer. All right, so let's talk about seasonal flowers. And I know you did touch base on this a little bit, but I want to talk more about like the 4 seasons. Like, tell me a couple of flowers that are year-round. You can always get them, and then again, some that are highlighted in some seasons. Just because I think it's important for whenever people are planning their weddings. You know, like tulips. You said they're not available in the winter, or
They are not as readily available in the
Okay.
winter.
So they may be more
November to
expensive.
December, yes, they do. And that's an important thing to keep in mind too. There are flowers that we can get off season. Like peonies have a true season in the spring. We can get them in the fall, but the price is exorbitantly different.
Okay.
It's higher. We can even get them nowadays in the summer. They're grown in Alaska. The conditions are, you know, very treacherous to get them to the state, so your price goes up with that. But staple pieces are always roses, hydrangea, foliages, eucalyptus, other kinds of greenery are almost always readily available, and it's a very common or popular now, mixed greeneries and such. But tulips, yes, they are available all year round.
Oh, they are?
They
Okay.
are. It just depends on what varieties. So the single bloom tulips are more available November, December, January.
Okay.
Where springtime you get the frill edges, you get the bell cups, you get double and triple blooms where they're really amazing. But even when they aren't available, we can also highlight them with colored dyes and stuff like
Okay.
that to make them a little bit more
Yeah,
unique.
awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's talk a little bit about trends. Is there something that you're seeing these days, for trends? And do you like them? What do you think about that?
I love it. I think anything that is different from the norm. I think at the last few years, probably, in the last 5 to 8 years, there's been that trend of the blush, the white, the neutral color palette, and we're now starting to see a little bit more color, which is fun. And there's so many things you can do with color. You're limited when you have a more muted palette. Whites and blushes, you only have a certain amount of flowers that you can use for that. But colorful floral and then dyed floral as well, like we talked about on the tulips. They're injecting color into just about any flower you can think of, which takes the traditional normal flower and puts a spin on it.
Yeah, I love that. And as she said, we literally just discussed that for my wedding because I want anemones, orchids, and tulips. 3 flowers are going to be dyed.
And we can infuse that cafe taupe color into them. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so just if you guys don't know what that is, basically they put dye into the water and the flower drinks the water, and the dye goes into the flower petals, and it kind of like shows the veining of them. It's incredible.
Something different that you wouldn't see normally.
I know, I love it. Okay, let's see here. Splurge versus save. Tell me a couple of flowers that if you don't have the budget for, that you recommend.
Sure.
One of the ones that I have in mind, for instance, is the peony and the garden rose, because I feel like they kind of look similar sometimes. So, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is the peony a lot more expensive than garden rose?
It depends on the varietal,
Okay.
but right now peonies are pretty affordable. So at this moment they'd be less expensive as a garden rose.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
so kind of season really plays a key factor in it. So one fun thing, the anemone is your favorite flower. So let's say it's not an expensive flower per se, but if we had a little more limited budget, we would take white lisianthus and we reflex the roses. So we pull them back, and then we take the thistle, and then we could dot them, apply a pin in the center of that, and we could paint the thistle navy blue with floral paint and make it look like an anemone.
That is wild, and I love that you said that because I feel so bad. We recently had a bride. We made her bouquet, we made her piece, and we sent it off. And she goes like, "Why is there a faux flower in my piece?" I mean, she was super happy with the piece. She was just wondering. I'm like, "Well, because your bouquet had a faux flower in it," and she had no idea. And so I love the fact that you can kind of like recreate one with actual flowers as opposed to, adding a faux flower.
And then it's a natural element. So, I did a wedding actually in Vegas, and they wanted large white love open cut calla lilies. And at the time, Florida had a major hurricane come through. That truck did not make it. Talk about stress. So we had to sub and use other types of floral. So it happens, we can't predict what nature is going to allow. So in that case, we've become really creative on what we can substitute and fiddle with what we're producing. And oftentimes, especially for larger scale pieces that the client isn't going to be right directly up with, we do put faux in for sure. It's a little secret, don't tell anybody.
All right, so I guess one more thing, in regard to the color palette, like for me, I came here and I was like, I think these will look good, but I don't know if they're gonna look great. Again, we talk about maybe bringing in like some photos for inspiration. What else do you recommend that they bring in?
I think for us in particular, I can't speak to other florists, but with the service coming to meet with us, we put together a design deck of what is seasonally available for you. Of course, the variations in the colors will change, but with our brides, we like to present them with a sample piece of what their centerpiece will look like, or let's just say they want to see what their bouquet would look like. As we get closer to the wedding, we will combine, much like we've done here today, and pull together the floral so that you can see it in person. Most people are visual. They need to see it in order to feel like, okay, they've got the vibe that I'm going with, the color palette sometimes, and especially with yours, I think was fun. We kind of noticed that this color rose here might have had a little bit too much yellow in it. You wouldn't know that unless you saw it. Coming into a place and seeing the product live and in person really helps, and we like to offer that with our brides. Complimentary. We do one complimentary centerpiece or bouquet for them.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so how can people find you? How can people connect with you? And most importantly, how can they book with you, regardless if they are in Dallas or anywhere in the United States or the world, I guess.
Yes, the
Yeah.
world, we will travel. You can find us on Instagram, Avant Garden by Todd. You can find us at our website, avantgarden.com. We have a link that can connect you to a questionnaire.
Okay.
And that kind of just gives you direction, gives us direction on where you're at for your budget, what your color palette is, what the time of year is, and your venue. And then we can kind of go from there, where we would send our basic pricing list, kind of where we're at, does it fit where you're at, and are we available? It's very important to me that we don't, we aren't the florist that books 2 and 3, 4, 5 weddings a weekend. We don't do that. I don't want the stress of having that pressure on my back. I want this to be about you that day, not about our pocketbook.
Yeah.
So
You want to make sure that you deliver.
exactly,
that
we
makes
want to show up
sense.
our best selves. So if we have the date available, it obviously is important for us, and then we just go from there.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, is there any other tip that you want to give to our couples trying to find a florist or trying to come up with a budget or anything like
I
that?
think just ask questions.
Yes.
Just like anything else that we do in life, something that's an intimate part of our life, you want to make sure that you connect with that person. You want to make sure that they understand what you are trying to portray in your special day.
Yeah.
So just ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm kind of going this direction. What do you think? And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just before we go, thank you so much for reaching out. I actually went back to our messages and I showed Justin just recently. Justin is my fiance for those listening in. So I said, first of all, you congratulated me the day after my engagement, and you were like, hey, let's talk about your flowers. And this is like 2.5 years ago, because we did not plan our wedding until 2 years after. And then you reach out again, hey, who's doing your flowers? Us?
Yeah.
And I love that.
I'm
I
not afraid
appreciate
to ask
that.
the questions. I want to be a part of those moments.
Yeah.
And I think for you, coming full circle, that we got in contact when you started your business and when I started here at Avant Garden. So I just kind of thought it was a nice stepping point. Like, let's do this together.
I love it. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
everything.
You're
I
welcome.
love you. I love everything here. You guys need to check them out and again, follow them, check them out, ask me questions, ask her questions. They're always super friendly and always available.
Yes.
Learn about all things wedding straight from the experts. Be sure to like and subscribe to Bridal Club.